Okay, from mountain pose, step your left foot back. Turn your left foot out slightly. So we're gonna do Parshvo Tanasana, but just make sure your left foot is angled out at in between 60 or 80 degrees. Find about a leg's length between your 2 feet and then fold forward. Keep your right knee bent to start. I want you to bend your right knee so much that you can touch your abdomen and thigh together. And if having your hands on the floor is actually too intense, then bring your hands up higher. Use one block, or if you have 2 blocks or something like that, put your hands on the blocks, fold forward, round your back, and then start to work your legs straighter, but keep your abdomen and your right thigh touching. So don't lose any space there, even if that means your right knee is very deeply bent. You'll thank me later. Both your hands, though, step them forward as far as they can go, so your side waist lengthens out more. And your back foot, keep it angling in. So keep that back foot still angling in, so the toes are more in the direction of the upper left corner of your mat, and then drive through that back heel. Squeeze your feet in towards one another. So from side to side, so from left to right, right to left, squeeze them in towards the center of your mat. And feel how that shifts your pelvis. Or typically, I know in my body it does. I'm assuming in everybody else's body it does. That might not be true though. All right, bend your knee, look forward. Step forward and fold. Lift part way up with an in-breath. And then step your right foot back. Let's do the second side. So bend the left knee until your left thigh and the abdomen or ribs are touching your left thigh. Try to find about a leg's length between the 2 feet. There's some give and play to that. It could be longer, it could be shorter. Then from there, without losing contact between your left thigh and your abdomen, work your left leg straighter, fold over your left leg, and round your back now. Step your hands forward as far as they can go. Release the back of your neck. So it could be, let's say a common tendency of doing this one is to bunch your shoulders up towards your ears. It's just not comfortable. Don't do that. Actually, do the opposite of that. So relax your shoulders, relax the back of your neck. Relax your jaw. Squeeze your feet in towards one another. All right, bend your front knee, look forward, step forward and fold. Lift part way up, inhale, look forward. Grab your hips, exhale, dig your tailbone down. Stand all the way up, inhale. Release your hips, exhale. Turn towards the long edge of your mat and take a very wide stance. So go a little bit more than a leg's length if you can manage that. This one, the standing straddle fold, depending on what you're going for, let's say traditional form of it is probably one of the most spread out standing poses that you're going to do. So take up most of your mat. Grab your hips, strengthen your legs, lift your chest with an in-breath. Fold forward, bring your hands to the floor, and lift part way up. Stretch your spine. Fold forward, step your hands in between your feet, and maybe bring your head all the way to the floor. Now, if you're to look at your knees, In fact, look at your knees. What are your kneecaps doing? Which direction are they headed? Are they headed down and in towards the floor? Or are they actually pulled up and away from the floor towards your hips? Now, if they're not doing the second one, make them. Make them pull up away from the floor. And how you do that is actually pull your thigh muscles up away from the floor, the front of your thigh muscles, really. Lift part way up. Grab your hips, stand up. Take the load off your legs for a moment. Go ahead and step your feet in to your mountain pose. And then take a wide stance again. For this one, feel free to take a slightly shorter, narrower stance, just so you have more stability in this position. And then fold forward. But I still want at least a leg's length between the 2 feet. Fold forward, hands underneath your shoulders, lift part way up. And then bring your left hand more into the center, and then grab your right hip. So I'm going to have you twist. Now, as you do this position, push through your left heel more. So push down through your left heel more. In fact, do it this way. Bend your left knee. Lean over onto your left heel, dig that left heel down, and then drive that left leg straight again. Just do it one more time. Bend the left knee, dig through the heel, and then drive your left leg straight. Raise your right shoulder, and then stretch your right arm up. So doing a little bit of a twist here. One more. Bring your right hand down. Center out your right hand a little bit more and then grab your left hip. So rotate to the left, lift your left shoulder, but bend your right knee. Dig into that right heel and then work your right leg straighter again. Go ahead and do that again. Bend the knee, dig through the right heel, and then work your right leg straighter. Just last one on this side. Bend the knee, dig through the heel, work your leg straighter, lift your left shoulder, turn, and then bring your left arm up. Stretch your left arm up. So now pull both your hips back, but keep that force in the back or the right heel. One more in breath. Lower your left hand all the way down. Lift part way up. And then fold forward right down the center of your legs again. Keep your hands down if you need to. Otherwise, interlace your fingers behind your head or behind your back. And then reach your fingers overhead. So interlace your fingers behind your back. Reach your arms straighter. Your hands away from your back. Even lift your shoulders so the back of your neck can release more. All right, lift all the way up with an in-breath. Stand all the way up. Release the grip and then step in. Just take a breath or two here. All right, revolve triangle pose. Take a wide stance again. Actually, let's do it. I'm sorry, scratch that. Come to the top edge of your mat, and let's do it from this position, Tadasana at the top edge of your mat. From here, step your left foot back, just so we're using the same entry we used earlier for Parshvo Tanasana, or same stance and entry. So set your feet like you had for Parshvo Tanasana, and then dig down through your left heel. In fact, bend the knee. Let's play with it a little bit. Bend your back knee and push through your left heel more, and then re-straighten your leg. Just do it again. Bend the knee, dig through that back heel more, re-straighten the leg, Again, bend the knee, dig through the heel, and then re-straighten the leg, reach your left arm up, 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 up. Exhale, revolve your triangle pose. Bring your right hand down, left hand down, right arm up. So keep pushing through your back heel. I want you to have a lot of weight into that back foot, a lot of grounding going through the back foot, a lot of stretch and strength through the back leg. Then from there, once you can create the stability in the pose, usually the mobility naturally happens on its own, or it frees up. It creates a little bit more freedom for movement. Right hand down, bend your front knee, stand up, step forward, ground your feet, stand tall. Breath will happen on its own. All right, step your other foot back. So step the right foot back. Set up Parshvo Tanasana. Bend the back knee. So keep your hands on your hips. Bend the back knee, dig through that right heel, and then straighten your right leg. Do it 2 more times, just so you can find a little bit more power in the back leg, a little bit more connection between your back heel and the floor. Raise your right arm once your right leg is straight there, and then go for it. Reach, 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 reach. Bring your right hand down, and then stretch your left arm up. So feel how much more power or how much more awareness you might have in that back foot and that back leg. So this is still playing with the idea of creating more stability than mobility. It's pretty easy to kind of pitch your torso forward and go into the twist without really giving too much thought about what's happening in the back leg. In a lot of these poses, truly. A lot of the standing poses, that is. Bring your left hand down and bend your front knee. Step forward, stand up. Fold forward, bring your hands down, and then step your left foot back to a lunge, lower your back knee down. Bring your hands to your front thigh. All right, another twist. Twist to your left. Bring your left elbow outside your knee, bring your palms together, lift and turn. Stay here or lift your back knee off the floor. Let's do a lunging, more of a high lunging twist if you can. So you got to squeeze. 1, you got to push your feet down. 2, squeeze in towards center. So squeeze your outer hips in. 3, lift up out of the pose a little bit. Bring your hands down, step forward, and then step back with the other foot. Bring your back knee down, low lunge. Bring your torso upright. Take a breath. It'll just happen on its own. And then twist to your left. Bring your right elbow outside your knee, your palms together. Raise your back knee if you're going to. If you need the back knee on the floor, just keep it down. Lift your hips up away from the floor. Reach for that back leg and lift and turn, really. Bring your hands down, step forward and fold. Stand up. Take a breath or 2. Fold forward. Step your left foot back. Lower your back knee down. And bring your torso up. Twist to your right again. This time though, if you can slide more of your left shoulder outside your knee, go more of your left shoulder outside your knee, palms together, or if your left hand easily comes down to the floor, stretch your right arm up and lift your back knee up. That for me, a little bit too much. So even though I can do it, it's a little bit too much today, so I'm not going to do it. So find that balance of just enough and not enough. Or in between too much and too little. Bring your hands down, step forward and fold. Lift part way up. Step your left foot back, lower your back knee down. Bring your torso up and just let a breath happen. Twist to your left. Bring your right hand down if you can. If it's not happening, just go a little bit more in the direction of your right shoulder outside your knee with palms together. Raise your back knee if you're going to. Downward face your dog. Shift back to down dog. Bend your knees. Create a deeper crease at the top of your thighs where they meet your pelvis. Then stretch your heels down and back. One more in-breath. Let's do child's pose. Bring your big toes to touch, sink your heels down and back, your head down and rest. Okay, sit up. Sit back on your heels, sit upright. Close your eyes. Okay, so let's sit in Virasana on a block. So sit in Hero's Pose on a block. If sitting in Hero's Pose on a block is too much, you could sit in a chair and that'll take care of whatever might be going on at the knees there. Twist to your right. Now, if you have another block that you could put your hand on behind you, put your hand on a block behind you. I'm going to just put my hand on my lower back and twist that way. So with the hand on the lower back, that one actually kind of helps tell your lower back to pull in. Just kind of a nice little reminder. But that left sitting bone, allow it to release down. The inner left thigh or the top of your left thigh, front of your left thigh, and front of left hip, relax that area down. And feel how that can help release your left sitting bone down. Then from there, there's this confrontation going on, and that's the beauty. That's the good stuff there. This confrontation of how much do I let it lift, and how much do I keep it descending towards the floor. Come through center. Switch sides. From my understanding, from my experience, you can't really have the practice of yoga or practices of yoga without some level of confrontation. Yeah, it's from my understanding that, or my understanding of yoga is that it is a difficult process. That it does require a certain amount of confrontation and a certain amount of grit for the practices to actually I don't know where I'm going with that, to be honest. I still gotta work that one out. So release the front of your right hip, release the front of your right thigh, release your right sitting bone down. Untwist. Step your left foot to the floor out in front of you. Actually, scratch that. Do the other leg. Step your right foot out. Now, you're sitting on a block. Move it underneath your right sitting bone only, and then place the sole of your right foot to the inner left thigh. Open your right knee out to the right. Stay here. Or if this right foot can land into the left hip in the half lotus position safely, then do that. That's not going to work for me. Once you have the leg position, twist to your right, reach that right arm around your back and grab your left hip, or grab your right foot. Grab the toe, the big toe with your right foot and twist to your right. Again, relax the front of your left hip. You guys that actually have the lotus position, you're lucky because that foot actually pushes the front of your left hip down. Saps that are us less enlightened people that can't put our leg into the half lotus position. We don't have that ability. We have to actually do it the old school way. Relax. Just relax. All right, untwist it. Bring your right leg into hero's pose. Sit in hero's pose for a brief moment with the block between the two sitting bones. Descend your thighs or relax your thighs down. And then let's switch sides. Step your left foot out. Slide that block just underneath your left sitting bone. Open your left knee out to the left and slide the sole of your foot to the inner right thigh. And then readjust the hips so you feel like you're still seated upright. Those of you that can take the half lotus position by placing the left foot onto the top of your right, all the way up into the right hip crease, then do so. Again, not going to work for me today, so twist to your left. So I'm not able to demonstrate. Twist to your left and grab your foot or reach for your right hip. As you twist, you're going to notice that right sitting bone try to lift. You're going to notice that right hip try to lift, which is fine. It's fine. But create a little bit of confrontation. Ask it not to do it. And one of the things you might notice, though, once you do that, is how many other objects or pieces of your body actually get involved in that confrontation. It's pretty impressive. I would argue that it's the whole thing. Everything is affected by it. Untwist. This one, go ahead and stretch your legs out in front of you. So sit with 2 straight legs. Let's stay up on the block. 2 straight legs, staff pose, Dandasana on your block. Okay, now bend your right knee, pull your right heel all the way back so it's pretty much in line with your right sitting bone. Separate your left heel until it's in line with the left sitting bone, and then twist to your right. Twist to your right, bring your right hand to the block behind you if you have one, or reach around and try to grab your left hip. And lift and turn to your right. The lower left back or the left abdomen, try to get that piece of your body to touch your inner right thigh. But raise your right shoulder and keep firming your right shoulder back as let's say your head gets pulled up towards the roof. So like there's something tied, almost like you're like an ornament, a Christmas ornament with one of those little strings tied to the top of their head. Pull up. Untwist. Switch sides. So for today, just do it with your heels in line with your sitting bones and then twist to your left. So traditionally, depending which alignment principles you're choosing, traditionally, my understanding or my definition of traditional is pulling from a certain source. So that traditional alignment would be your inner left foot is touching your inner right thigh, which works for some people, doesn't work for everybody. And even what we're doing here today doesn't work for everybody, but I think it works for most bodies. All right, untwist yourself. Stretch both your legs out. And just sit tall for a moment. Make sure the front of your hips are not gripping very tightly. Make sure you're relaxed there. And if you aren't relaxed there, you may need to sit a little bit higher or just keep your knees bent. Speaking of bending your knees, bend your knees. And then slide your left foot just outside your right hip, just outside your right sitting bone. You may need to adjust your hips on the prop and twist to your right. Twist to your right, bring your right hand around the back and see if you can grab your left hip again. Those of you that want to go more towards what could be considered traditional form, step that right foot outside your left knee and place your left shoulder outside your right knee. Again, for me, now today, it's too much, so I'm not going to do that. Let's complete that breath you're on. Untwist it. Stretch your legs out. And then let's go for the second side. So right heel just outside your left sitting bone. If you want to step the left foot outside the right knee, feel free if your body is okay with it. Twist to your left. Yeah, make sure, so where your thigh bones meet your hips, if there is a very let's say tightening up, like a very tense feeling at the front of your hips, it would be good to sit up higher. untwist. Come off your block and take your legs wide. So sit with your legs wide. So come all the way down. Go legs wide. Now again, for the seated poses, if this area, the hip creases, tightening up, really tight, sit up on something. So stretch out through your feet. So stretch down through the bottoms of your feet, firm up your legs like you're doing a standing pose, and then just sit tall. Bring your hands behind you, come onto your fingertips, push down and back. Push the floor away. So create this feeling of, let's say, grounding down into the floor, but also lifting up away from the floor. So if you do too much of one, it's a little bit imbalanced, meaning if you do too much of going towards the floor, going to have a certain energetic quality. If you do too much of the lifting up away from the floor, you're going to be a little bit too excited. So find that balance, find the poise. Okay, slide the soles of your feet together, take your knees apart, and then fold right down the center of your legs. You can grab your feet, or you could just grab your ankles or walk your hands forward. I'm going to grab my feet and then round your back. Great. From here, sit up partway, grab onto your big toes, and then start to slide your legs straighter. Go until your legs are pretty much all the way straight, if not all the way straight. And do the Parshvo Tanasana variation, seated forward bend. Then if you have more room to play, go ahead and redo your grip, meaning grab your wrists or forearm past your feet. Round your spine, push your inner thighs down, and stretch the back side of your body. Look forward, sit up, lie down on your back, and just make sure you have a little bit of room on both sides of your mat. All right, draw your knees into your chest. Just pause for a moment there and let the thighs kind of settle into place. Let your lower back kind of settle. All right, and then reach your arms out to the sides. Lower your knees to the right, but try to get your right knee, or try to get your knees to touch your right elbow. So more twisting. All right, untwist. And then go to the second side. Okay, untwist. Square yourself up. And then let's set up corpse pose. This one would be great. Actually, scratch that. Slide the soles of your feet together and knees apart for a moment before we do corpse pose. Unless you have something to put underneath your knees in corpse pose, then that could be a, you could go to corpse pose. Just put something underneath your knees. I want the front of your, or the lower abdominal region to sort of open up a little bit before going to corpse. Okay, now I'll go to corpse pose. Just place yourself in a way that the lower abdominal region feels pretty open and relaxed. The front of your hips, inner hips, pretty open and relaxed. And as well as upper chest. Somewhat lifted and open.